Let's build virtual mouse for a gamepad controller today that you can move with an analog or D-pad and can check if a button is clicked. First, let's create a cursor with a UI image. Name it cursor. You can get this cursor image with link under this video. We need to convert it to a sprite that can be used on an UI object. Limit its scale and the compression. Then click Apply. And put it on cursor object. Cursor image is updated now. Adjust its size as you want. Next, create an empty object to handle a script for visual scripting. Name it Events. Click Save. We're going to move it with left, right, up, down arrow buttons. First, let's get right arrow button if it is clicked, and left arrow button. If right button is clicked, call a custom event to move it to right. Name it Input Horizontal. This custom event will be used to move it to left or right. Get it a variable to tell if button right or left is clicked. If button right arrow is clicked, set its value by 1. Name this flow variable is left, right. Apply this left, right value to our custom event. If button left arrow is clicked, set its value by -1. Now let's handle this custom event input horizontal. First, print it out to see which button left or right is clicked. Let's play. It will be 1 if right arrow button is clicked, -1 if left button is clicked. Let's move it to position left or right now. To move it, we will use set position. This is an object doing this event, cursor object. X is for left or right position, Y is up or down. We will change X position only and keep its Y position. X position will be X plus 0.1 or minus 0.1. X position will be X plus 0.1 or minus 0.1. We will multiply 0.1 by 1 if it's right button or -1 if it's left button. Now position X will be X plus 0.1 or X minus 0.1. Let's play. and move it with left-right arrow buttons. It worked, but distance 0.1 is too slow to move it. At the start of the script, let's set this move distance with a number by screen width divided by 1000. I will put it into a variable cursor move unit. Now move it with cursor move unit instead of 0.1 per frame. It is a lot better and fit to all screen resolutions. Do the same for up and down arrow buttons. Up arrow button will return value by 1. Down arrow button will return value minus 1. Rename it input vertical. We will change Y position and keep X position, switch them. Let's play and test it with all buttons left, right, up and down. It works perfect. Now create some buttons. Here I have button close and button restart. Make sure you edit box collider 2D to these buttons. If the cursor is on button close and we click button space, it will close that Game Over menu. If space button is clicked, we will call event check buttons. To check if an UI button is clicked, we use 2D Raycast. Origin is the begin position of the raycast. Origin will be cursor position. Direction of raycast will follow z-axis. It means 0, 0 on xy. Distance is 1 is good enough because on UI objects have position z equals 0. Layer mask is the layer allowed it for raycast to check. We will do raycast on all layers except for ignore raycast layer. Unchecked ignore raycast layer. If you don't uncheck ignore raycast will always return cursor object is the only object is hit by raycast. Now add cursor object into layer ignore raycast to avoid raycast. If Raycast hit any UI objects, it will return in Raycast hit 2D. Use nuncheck to check if Raycast hit is greater than 0. If any UI object is hit by Raycast, send that object to a custom event. Call this event is hit button, and its variable is the button will be clicked or hit by Raycast. Let's print out the button's name to see which button is clicked. Move cursor to a button and press space. It will show the name of that button. To check if the click button is button close, compare its name. If it is button close, we will close or destroy Game Over menu. Game Over menu is the parent of button close. To get Game Over menu object, get parent of button close. Press play. All virtual cursor events work well. Now let's try it on a gamepad. To add new input, first install plugin input system. Select package Unity registry, then search for input system. Click install. Select yes. Next, create new folder, new input, anywhere you like. If input system is installed successfully, you can see input actions. Name it Paste Input. Use this name if this is your first time. Click Edit Asset to edit input. Name action map to Paste. Name first action is left analog, no space. Select Pass Through and time is factor 2. Binding. Select Gamepad. Left state is left analog. Click on plus icon to add more binding. Select Add left, right, up, down for Gamepad arrow buttons. Up is up arrow button of D-pad on a gamepad. Do the same down, left, right arrow button. If you don't have gamepad, you can test it on PC with a keyboard. Use up, down, left, right arrow buttons on keyboard. Press plus icon to create new action for button enter. To cast Raycast to check hit buttons. Use button enter for this. On gamepad, use button is or not. After set all buttons for input, click Save Asset. You can add more or change these buttons easily later. Don't worry now. Basic input. Then generate C# class. Click Apply. A C# script with name Basic Input was created next to it. Next, create another C# script to handle glitch events. Name it New Input, no space. Open it, and this is the first look of all C# script. Copy this code. You can get it with the link under this video. I know it is very complicated because we don't work with C# code. Just copy and use it. I will explain it for you later. We have some errors here because we use different names. To fix it, change basic control with basic input that we created. It will create our input system into variable control. Replace basic control here too. That's it. I will explain a little about this code. You should understand to know how to fix it if you see errors. First, create and put our basic input system to variable control. Left analog will get values of left analog from our gamepad. Next lines are variables to get values of hold, down, up of button. We have some arrow buttons and enter buttons use these values. Awake to create our basic input system when game starts. On enable, on disable to enable or disable new basic input. When game starts, it will set initial values for hold, down, up of buttons. You don't need to understand all of this. Just accept and use now. On every frame, it will call this event to get values of buttons. It will get value of left analog to this variable left analog. Control is our basic input system we created. Basic is the action map's name. Left analog is the left analog of gamepad we created. Read value vector 2 to get its value as vector 2. Next line of code to get value of button down of all buttons. Lay update will do these events at the end of each frame. It will return false to value button up of all buttons. Next, create an empty object to contain this new input C# script. Drag new input C# script to new object you just created. Now, add a script to handle visual scripting events. Name it new input or any names you like. To add functions from a C# script into visual scripting, we need to add that C# script to nodes of visual scripting. Add new input C# script here. Click Regenerate Nodes. Now you can see and view events from new input C# script. New added C# script events will be in code-based nodes. Let's use expose to show all events we can use in this C# script. We can get left analog values here. It is a factor 2. We use normalize to limit this among -1 and 1 values. We need to debug log to see if our C# code works. Connect Gamepad to your PC. You will see this message. If you see these errors when you press play, don't worry, because you are calling a new old input system. To fix it, open Project Settings, select Player, Order Settings, search for Active Input Handling. Switch it to both to use old and new input system. It works now. Try arrow buttons and left analog on your gamepad. X will be -1 if press left button and 1 for right button. Let's check if a button is on hold with on button hold event. Use get dictionary item and compare the name. We have button enter to check. We need to debug log to test it too. Press button enter on PC or button Y on gamepad to test it. It will return true if button is clicked, false if it is not clicked. Next, create a custom event to handle enter button. If cursor is on button close and click this enter button, Game Over menu will be closed. We can create a variable for enter button to get its value easier. This button will have true or false value only. Now you can get this button value from anywhere in your game. If button close is clicked, we created that event already. Let's copy and reuse event check buttons from events objects. If enter buttons is clicked, value is true, then call check buttons. Check buttons is an event from events object. We need to get events objects here. Move cursor to button close, click enter or Y buttons on gamepad. It worked. Instead using expose, you can use get on button holds. It will give the same result. But we should use get on button down for enter buttons. Do the same to get left analog values from our C# script. Create new custom event to handle these left analog values. If left analog values are changed, move cursor position. To move cursor position, we created some custom events already. To move it to left-right, we use input horizontal custom event. Copy this custom event. If X value of left analog has changed, move cursor left or right. It will work, but it will do this event even X equals 0 true. To make game work better, call this only if X is not equal 0. X will return values among -1 and 1. It will move cursor left or right. This custom event is from events object. Do the same for up, down, Y value. We have custom event input vertical to handle up-down values. Now we have finished all events to move cursor from our gamepad. Please like and subscribe my channel to get more tutorials. Thank you for watching.